Hi everyone, yasas que kalosirtate to another episode of Dimitra's Dishes. Today we're going to be making a hearty and delicious Greek lemony beef stew. I'm adding cabbage to it. It's not traditional, but I love cabbage with beef. There are also some potatoes in it. It's just perfect for those cold winter days, and it's even cold here in Houston, so it's the perfect comforting dish to serve to your family. Let's get started. Okay, so we're going to begin with the beef. I'm using beef chuck roast today, and I'll cut it into pieces as equal as possible. This is the perfect size because they are going to shrink a little bit when they cook, and if they're smaller than this, the small pieces tend to shred, which are perfectly fine. But if you want the meat to hold its shape a little bit, cut them a little bit on the bigger side. Season both sides lightly with salt and freshly cracked black pepper. And then I also like to sprinkle a little bit of flour over them. This is going to help the beef get a little bit of a crust, and it'll also thicken the stew just a tiny bit. I have my Dutch oven heating over medium-high heat. I'll add a small amount of olive oil because beef chuck roast does tend to release lots of oil, so I don't want this to be too greasy. All of the beef fits in the pot. If it didn't fit in the pot, then you can go ahead and brown them in 2 separate batches. And they're gonna brown about 6 or 7 minutes on each side. Once they release easily and they get a beautiful crust, they're ready to be flipped. Once both sides are golden and crispy, you can take them out and set them aside. And you can turn the heat off from underneath the pot while you prepare the remaining vegetables. So I'm gonna finally chop an onion. I'm also gonna peel 2 carrots and also just dice them into medium-sized pieces just like this. I also have 4 or 5 potatoes here that are peeled. I'm using golden potatoes here. You can use russet potatoes if you like, and you can also cut those up and keep them ready. So the onion and the carrots are going back into the pot over medium heat, and these are going to cook for about 7-8 minutes until they're nice and soft. Once they've softened, I'll add 6 garlic cloves that are grated and just warm the garlic through until it's fragrant. You don't want to overcook it, then it can burn. Don't worry about all those dark bits that are in the bottom of the pan. They're going to release as soon as everything gets back in here. The beef is going to go back into the pot along with 4 to 5 cups of beef broth or water. You can use water if you prefer, but beef broth is going to make it more flavorful. I'll also add the juice of 2 lemons, 1 to 2 bay leaves, a teaspoon of dried oregano. If you have rosemary, you could put a sprig of rosemary in here. I don't. I'm all out of rosemary. And then we're gonna give this a nice mix, bring it to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, you can keep mixing it to release all of the bits of meat that are stuck to the bottom of the pot to make sure nothing burns. Reduce the heat to a low and cover the pot and let this cook for 1.5 hours until the meat becomes a little bit tender. At this point, I like to add cabbage in. It's not traditional, but I love to add it. It just adds some heartiness to the soup, lots of nutrients, and I love the way cabbage tastes. So I just have 1 head of cabbage that I just roughly chopped. That's gonna go in with the potatoes, and you have to season every step. So season the potatoes a little bit with some salt and black pepper, season the cabbage with a little bit more salt and black pepper, and put the lid on the pot and let this cook for 20 to 30 minutes or until the potatoes are fork tender. You want to go in every now and then and give it a stir because it can begin to stick because the sauce from the stew has already begun to thicken, so there's not that much water in there to keep it from burning. So every now and then go in and give it a nice stir. As soon as the potatoes are fork tender and the cabbage is fully cooked, the stew is ready. Give it a taste and see if it needs a little bit more salt or pepper. And that's it. It's ready to serve. I love making this because it uses simple ingredients. If you don't have chuck roast, or if it's a little bit expensive at the supermarket, you can use your favorite cut of beef for this. You could even substitute lamb if you prefer, and it's just gonna be so delicious. It's lemony and it's hearty and just so delicious. I know sometimes people are looking for alternatives to tomato-based stews, and that's why this one is perfect. If you're not a fan of cabbage or if you don't have it on hand, you can just add some more potatoes to it. You can use cauliflower instead if you like, or your favorite vegetables, but give it a try. It's so good. Cabbage, once it cooks down, it gets a little hint of sweetness and it just makes it so comforting and cozy and good. Let's do the taste test. So you know the potatoes are ready when you press them with a fork and they just mash into the sauce. It's so good. Oh my goodness. It's like so cozy and comforting and good. I love cabbage. If you haven't tried my quick version of stuffed cabbage rolls. I turned it into a soup with meatballs in it. It's so good. I think I made it 3 times last week. Delicious. You're gonna love this one too if you like cabbage, and especially if you like a beef stew that's hearty and a little bit different and slightly lemony. I did run out of lemons. If I had more lemons, I would definitely squeeze some more lemon juice over the top of this. All you need is to toast some bread and dinner is on the table. I hope you guys give this recipe a try. You can print it out on my website, dimitrasdishes.com. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I'll see you all next time. Yes, us.